All right, welcome everybody to tonight's Committee of the Whole. It is Wednesday, August 6th at 7 p.m. Can I get a roll call?
Finkler.
Here.
Hammer.
Here.
Lawson.
Here.
Meyer.
Here.
Reed.
Here.
Relke.
Here.
Rostad.
Here.
I acknowledge this meeting was posted and noticed according to law.
All right, I'll look for a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
Move. Second.
First by Alder Rostad and a second by Alder Lawson. All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, sorry,
Aye.
any discussion? All in favor, okay. Any opposed? Screw it up every time. All right, motion passes. Public comment. I know we have one. All right. Tracy Busey? Bussey, if you want to come up and state your name and address.
My name is Tracy Bussey. I live on 105 Stewart Street here in Columbus. And unfortunately, that my driveway is connected to the alley between Inglesbury and Stewart Street. That alley has not been, I've lived there 34 years and there's never been anything really done to it. 4 years ago, they stopped filling the potholes because they fill the pothole and they were just throwing it on dirt and it would last 2 weeks. 2 years ago, they brought in a dump truck full of gravel and put that in the potholes. Well, when winter comes along, that gravel goes in my driveway and in my lawn, and it's a real mess. So I'm asking that the city take a look at it, see what they could do, repair it. I don't think you can repair it. I think you got to replace it. But I just wanted to bring it to the attention of the council. I would recommend everyone just take a minute out of your day and drive down that alley, and you can see how beat up it is. So,
Okay.
if you have any questions? All right. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. All right, new business. Discussion of memorandum of understanding agreement with Columbus School District regarding construction of a shed on city property. Matt.
The school district's requested to put a storage shed near the tennis courts. This is to store tennis equipment. Essentially, the agreement allows the school district to place this shed, makes them responsibility for maintaining and ensuring and essentially allowing them to have this on city property. Jay King, the athletic director at the high school, is here to answer any specific questions of the school district. Amy Jo and Mike Corman have been involved in working with Paul Johnson to draft the agreement, and so happy to answer any questions the council has.
Just curious of the rough size. Yeah.
It's going to be a 3 feet by 6 feet shed, kind of one of the resin ones you can buy at Menards. And they're going to plan on putting 1.5 by 1.5 stones down to create a foundation for it, so it's not just kind of sitting on grass wobbly. They're going to level out the spot that it's going to put in, so will look as nice as a shed can look sitting next to a tennis court.
Alder Meyer.
My only ask is whoever on the city side next time when we have one of these, we try to incorporate some type of picture or whatever to potentially limit any questions. But otherwise, I think it makes sense. I have no issues with it.
Alder Rostad.
My only question is on the termination. Seeing it's so small and tennis isn't a year-round sport, do we need 90 days? Can we go to a 30-day termination notice?
And you can approve it at the council meeting with that amendment to the agreement. I don't see any reason
Okay.
why it couldn't be.
Do you have any issue with?
So fill me in on what termination notice means. So,
Termination of the agreement.
oh, yeah, 30 days is fine.
Alder Lawson.
Will the shed be, what's the word I'm thinking of, to the foundation? Attached to the foundation at all?
It'll be sitting on the foundation.
The only thing I worry about is, it become a sail. We got high winds in some of those storms. But I'm not sure how much, trying to fix it to blocks that are 1.5 by 1.5 is going to do either. So
Any other discussion? We good moving this to council? All right, that was
you.
it.
Thank you.
Look for a motion to adjourn.
So move. Gotcha.
Second.
First from Alder Meyer, second from Alder Rolke. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We are adjourned.
And we will move right into the Common Council meeting of Wednesday, August 6th, 2025. Welcome to everybody that is watching cable channel and to our staff that is here. Could I have a roll call, please?
Finkler.
Here.
Hammer.
Here.
Lawson.
here.
Meyer.
Here.
Reed. Here. Rolke. Here. Rustad.
Here.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I acknowledge this meeting was also posted and noticed according to law.
Okay, thank you. I would look for a motion to approve tonight's agenda with the comment that we would like to move item number 9 after public comment. So item number 9 would be moved to after public comment.
Move to approve with the substitution as stated.
Second.
Okay, motion by Alder Rolke, second by Alder Finkler. Discussion? Alder Meyer?
So we're moving it to before we adopt the committee minutes, everything else?
Yes.
Oh, why?
Yeah, just like to move it forward, so.
Okay.
Any other discussion? Okay, hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, public comment, anything? No? Okay. Then we would move to item number 9, which is discussion and direction related to a proposal or a proposed public safety facility.
As the council's aware, Bray Architects has completed a feasibility study and space needs analysis related to public safety building. Matt Holfert, who's been involved since the beginning of the project, is going to kind of go through a presentation tonight. He's appearing via Zoom as he's traveling, and kind of go through this presentation, talk about next steps, and answer any questions that the council has.
Thank you, Matt. Council, appreciate you moving me up on the agenda. I've got a sort of a short connection here I'm trying to make. So, Matt, do you want me to share, or does somebody else have the presentation?
I've got the presentation. Do you see it?
I don't. I'm seeing the agenda at the moment.
Let me try one more time.
Sorry about that.
Well, it's on me. Do you see it now?
Yeah, there we go. Looks great. All right, again, thank you, Council. Appreciate you moving things along. Just a brief agenda. Our goal for tonight was to just give you a very brief overview on where we've been and how we got to this point. Talk a little bit about where we're at in terms of space needs, and then talk through a few other potential options and decisions to move forward. So, just as a refresh, we started this process about almost a year ago And the main objective was to do a facility assessment of the current police and fire stations to understand the current condition of those facilities from the perspective of plumbing, HVAC, electrical, roofs, windows, doors. I'll say basic capital infrastructure. Where were we at? Did we have needs? What were those needs? And so this should look familiar. This was presented previously to you. And as we learned, the fire department, and I think many of you agreed that evening, the fire department has some challenges related to current condition and facility assessment. So as we keep moving forward, police was a little different only from the perspective of it's a newer building, was an office building before. But also remember, this is only current facility condition. This was not space needs, safety considerations, all the different aspects of both of these departments and how we would potentially address those. And so part of our scope was to not only assess existing facilities, which we did, but was also to start talking about what are our needs from the perspective of space. And so that process involved engagement with police and fire staff. And this is the summary that you see on screen, somewhere in the neighborhood of 61,000 square feet. I would admit this is not final. And so part of our recommendation tonight is to consider advancing to the next steps to vet this further. There's a chance we can make this smaller. We have not been extremely careful in scrutinizing this at this point because the main objective with identifying space was to use that as a tool to explore potential sites. And the goal of exploring sites was not to identify an exact site plan or space need. It was to identify if a site had the potential to meet our needs, site circulation, square footage, etc. So that's kind of the next step, which we went through previously. And again, I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself for many of you. We just wanted to make sure that any community members listening that weren't familiar with this process had some background. So we used the 61,000 square foot target to start exploring what potential sites would make sense for a potential public safety building. And again, as most of you know, we reviewed sites, I'll say closer to downtown, we reviewed sites, and the site that I think we landed on collectively that makes the most sense is one that is basically just north of the hospital. And the next slide is north of the dental office, which many of you I think know. Just northeast of the intersection at 151. And someone asked why there, why not closer to downtown? And again, as many of you know, we really talked about if there were a challenge with something on the railroad tracks that would block all of our access, how are we far enough away from the tracks, but still close enough to A, our responders, and B, making sure that we can get apparatus and people to a scene quickly. And I think collectively, and Matt, jump in if you agree, we think this site makes a great deal of sense from the perspective of providing you with quick access to most of your residential area, but also giving fire opportunity to jump on 151 and head north and east if they need to respond to things if there's an issue at another intersection. So through that evaluation, we landed on a site that you can see regionally here, and on the next slide, you can see a bit more detail. And I will tell you right now, this is not the final site plan. It was done, as I noted before, as a test fit to make sure that the square footage we need in red fire, in green police, and then in yellow potential city hall, would it fit on a site, and how would it function? How does fire apparatus leave the site, return to the site? Where do they park? How do guests come to the building, et cetera, et cetera? So the intention here was not to develop a refined site plan, but to make sure that sites we were considering would support our needs, not just from the building perspective, but from the site circulation, flow, access for volunteers responding to the building, and departing apparatus. So hopefully that's a quick overview, and hope it for many of you, that's familiar information. As we talk more about the potential next steps, we started thinking through what's the best strategy for how to deliver construction services. So one extremely important precursor for this, when we talk about construction services in this world, we're talking about the city potentially hiring a construction manager to provide professional services to support you. The city cannot hire a company to build your building, i.e. meaning you can't hire somebody to put the concrete in place, paint the walls, put the HVAC system in, etc. That's not prohibited, or it is prohibited, sorry. You have to bid that scope of work. So what we're talking about tonight is if the city is interested in exploring a construction manager, which would be basically mean you're hiring a professional services provider to support you, just like you would hire an architect, an engineer, an accountant, an attorney to provide you with professional services, not to actually put any physical work in place. So you have options. There are four we're going to briefly run through. One of them is design, bid, build, number one. That would mean that you as an owner have one contract. The city would have one contract. But the architect and your builder would basically be under the same contract. We don't recommend that approach because it's a bit of the fox in the hen house. If something goes wrong on the construction side, the architect is relying on the contractor to pay them. And I think you as a city benefit from having two separate entities who are both advocating on your behalf. So that's one example. It's not used frequently in the public sector, but it is an option. So I want to be transparent, it's there. The next one, number two, construction management at risk, means that the city of Columbus would hire an architect, an engineer to design your building. You'd hire a construction manager to do pre-construction services, budget management, cost estimating, construction scheduling, and they would manage the entire bidding process. So again, back to the original comment, it's critically important that you understand that they would not be performing work. They would be managing your process, and they would be managing the bidding for all of the services. So in that case, the city would hold a contract with an architect, would hold a contract with a construction manager. That construction manager would hold all of the subcontracts after you approve the bids for all of that work. So those are two options. The next two are pretty quick. Number three is construction management as an agent or agency. In that world, it's very similar to number two we just talked through, but all the subcontracts would be held by you as an owner. So construction managers like this because they can basically put all of the subcontracts on you. The painter, the plumber, the electrician, the concrete people. You as a city would hold all of those contracts. And you would also then absorb the risk. What if the electrician goes bankrupt halfway through the project? Using an extreme example. So it is definitely an option, but it's not one that we see used frequently in Wisconsin. And then the final one is design, build, or single source, where you would hire one entity to do everything. It's not an option for you. Some will tell you it is, but it's quite frankly, it's a pretty expensive option and not one we see used very often. So with that quick background, I think what we're recommending, and Matt, jump in if you agree on the next slide, we're recommending that the council consider moving through a process to hire a construction manager at risk, meaning we would go through a process of requesting qualifications and eventually requesting fees and costs from them. But to be fair, you're not hiring them to build a building at this point. You would only be hiring them to help refine the project, refine the cost, develop estimates, and become, I'll say, the third leg of the stool, architectural us, hopefully, you as a city, and then the construction manager, all three working together to refine what is a very conceptual space program and plan right now, and develop a budget that we can use collectively to decide how we want to proceed, when we want to proceed, etc.
Matt, if I could jump in and ask you a question. There's been a lot of these public safety buildings or even just municipal building projects done over recent years. What percentage of those projects that you're aware of use this construction manager format?
If you asked me that 10 years ago, I would say 25%, because a lot of these projects were still relatively modest in cost, and I'll use modest in quotes because they were still a lot of money in the millions, but they might have been $5 million or less. The cost of these projects has increased significantly, and so Port Washington and Monona is two current examples of our current partners. They're both using this model because it allows them to have a partner at the table who's helping them manage budget and schedule more directly because they're bidding projects every day. If you as a council don't want to go that route, we can absolutely manage the process for you. But the costs of these projects are getting quite significant, and a lot of councils have found that having an extra set of eyes to scrutinize the space, the costs, the quality of materials, the bidding process is advantageous to you. And I think that's why we're leaning towards the construction management at risk approach, if council agrees.
And I'll just share both with Matt and the council, the largest construction building project I've been involved in was when I was in Middleton. We hired a construction manager and I had reservations, and it was the smoothest publicly bid project. And in terms of being under the estimated cost and getting done on time, it's the only project that I've ever been involved in that did both of those things. So I think I'm not saying we have to do it. I'm just saying it's something that we should have serious consideration and serious discussion about considering this format.
Agree with that. Thank you. So just to close, as a preliminary timeline, and I will tell you this is conservative intentionally, because anytime we're talking to the public about an expenditure of this type, we generally want to suggest a conservative timeline, and if we can overachieve collectively, that means city, us, potential construction manager, if we can overachieve, I don't think your constituents are ever disappointed when we do that. There's a lot of detail here. I will tell you, big picture is consideration of using the rest of 2025 to refine the direction, finalize the site, do additional due diligence, hire a construction manager, develop the initial budget, and quite frankly, tax impact strategy. There's going to be something there, right? So you need a budget before you can develop that strategy. That would take the remainder of the year. We then would start out right in 2026 with the final design work, would bid in fall of 2026, and start construction in 2027 with completion in 2028. And I'm guessing some of you are saying, wow, that's a long time. How are we talking about 3 years plus right now as we sit here? Again, it's conservative. We can accelerate, but we know public sector well, and my guess is as we get into this, you as a council want a little more time to vet, consider, decide on direction, cost, etc. And so we're building a buffer in here. I tend to say if we're running a race and we're charging towards a hurdle, and if we clear every hurdle without a problem, this can surely be consolidated. But most projects, we eventually run into a hurdle, we trip over one. And so this is assuming that we're going to trip over 1 or 2 hurdles as a team along the way. And we're building in some time for that. So again, I'm sure some of you are saying it's crazy long. It's conservative. We can absolutely be more aggressive. But we also didn't want to assume that you as a council would be approving things weeks and months from now to meet the most aggressive schedule, because there's still some work to do. So I guess, Matt, with that, we can close out with kind of potential next steps, and you can see them on the screen. If council wants to proceed, I'll help Matt, and we'll work through a process of soliciting qualifications and proposals. We'll keep working through the process of evaluating sites, budgets, etc. But again, goal here tonight is for council to engage and let us know your thoughts. this isn't the only time you'll have that access. We'll have many of these conversations as we move forward. But felt like the right time to get back in front of you and hear your questions and hopefully answer some that we can tonight.
Alder Rothstead, you had a...
So this is all part of what we already paid for, right? With Bray, there's no new occurring costs for Bray.
No,
Correct.
We have him until we're done, correct? Or no?
him essentially we have Bray essentially through tonight's meeting, as I would view it. Matt may view that differently. Oh, sorry. So I'll repeat myself for the purpose of the meeting. Essentially, Bray's final scope was kind of this presentation and sharing a timeline. There may be a couple of loose ends, but for the most part, we're probably at the 95% to 99% completion at this point with Bray's scope. One of the things that I'm going to be asking the council tonight as part of this item is, in terms of next step, I'm recommending that we solicit design services proposals from both Bray and Axiom. Axiom is an architecture firm that is part of the Ruckert-Milke family, and so the fact that we have experience working with Bray, experience working with Ruckert-Milke, and believing that there's a council interest in trying to, I don't want to use the word accelerate, but continue to move this project forward. The idea would be is to ask those proposals to be back for the first meeting in September for your review and possible action. Because the next step is actually putting a design and architectural renderings to this building, and as Matt alluded, working on that, the space needs, right, of refining that, and I think the term in the engineering world is value engineering in terms of what space we actually, what we can live with in terms of what's a want versus a need. Is that fair, Matt?
Absolutely. Yep. You're right. And to be fair, we're happy to help you through the construction manager process. If you want to run the design firm and construction management in parallel to keep things moving, we do it all the time for our clients. So I'm happy to help you with that without any additional cost.
And then, correct me if I'm wrong, Bray got Port Washington, correct?
Yep.
So how does Port Washington's timeline, or what was their timeline initially to how did it end up?
Matt, did you hear the question?
I did. Yep. So we're, I would say, only 2 months behind their original schedule, which in my opinion was aggressive, because they didn't own the property. So we had a couple months of land acquisition and DOT that we needed access to a state highway for that project. That was our only little hurdle in that one. Otherwise, the project was smooth. Council approved quickly. We bid on time. We're under budget by $2 million. And we're out of the ground. So I appreciate you asking, because that's one I can tell positive stories about. If I'm being transparent. But there's always little things. Like I said, hurdles come up, right? Like, we didn't think it would take the DOT 6 months to approve a basic move of a curb cut 12 feet, but it did. So we rolled with it, right? We figured it out, and we're back on track. So that's part of just being a good team member and communicating with you as a council. When we have challenges, we're not going to hide them. We're going to share them, and we're going to address them.
All right. Alder Meyer?
I'm going to go the opposite route as Matt did. I want to know what the less conservative timeline is. I truly feel we need to accelerate this. If we don't, we're probably going to end up without a public safety building. We know how Columbus rolls. So I guess if it was my 2 cents, I would agree with Matt that we start reaching out to Bray and Axiom to get this done. So I would like to hear from you tonight what you truly think, because if you told me it was 2027, I would say absolutely not. I think it needs to be improved. So what is that less conservative number or date?
I can provide you, council and Matt, with an aggressive timeline within the next week, if that's okay. I don't want to I'm not gonna just throw dates out there. I would rather give it some thought and give you what I think is a aggressive but reasonable timeline. I'm more than happy to provide that within the next week.
The other thing that I'll just add in there is, no matter whether we're gonna go conservative or aggressive on the timeline, that next necessary step is to get a contract for design work, right? And so I think the earliest we can do anything with that is first meeting in September, just to give both firms adequate time to put a proposal together. Probably have some questions for staff. The other thing that I want to do related to this project is put together an internal committee that would be Molly as the council president, Chief Weiner, Chief Hazeltine, Mike Kornman, Kendra, our interim finance director, and myself, to kind of be the group that helps navigate this and get it to council, knowing if there is interest in expediting this, we're going to need that committee in place to work with the selected consultant and ensure that, you know, we're getting tours of, I think one of the important steps is to tour other similar facilities that have been built recently, so that as we go through this, we have an idea of what's out there, and kind of always ask the questions of, if you rebuilt this, what would you do differently? Or what don't you like about your building? Because I just know, you know, innovation, there's a lot of things that have changed in that world. Obviously, Bray and Axiom both live in that public environment where they're building these and learning a lot, but it's always helpful to go and talk to, you know, McFarland just opened their facility. Kewaskum is another one that I'm interested in because they're similar size to us. You know, Port Washington, it's probably not worth visiting their construction site, but I'm sure there's other, you know, buildings similar to what we're talking about that have opened recently that it's worth going. Jackson is a community I know a lot of people have pointed to locally as, hey, they've got everything in this one building. I think we need to go and look at Jackson. That's about 8 years old now, I want to say. Does that sound right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so
Mount Horeb's a great example without city.
Yeah.
But Mount Horeb's a really good example as well.
And so there's examples out there to go take a look at. I think you learn a lot by seeing what other communities have done in that space as well.
Alder Lawson.
Have we ever seen the final report on their analysis, which I thought was going to include cost info, high level cost?
Matt, do you want to address cost?
Yeah, to be fair, we only viewed the potential site, Matt, probably a month ago, maybe even a little less than that.
Yeah.
So without that site component, we couldn't develop a reasonable cost estimate. Absolutely no problem finalizing the report with the concept plans and a cost range for you, if that's what you're interested in. We tend to think if you want to go the route of construction management and move the project forward, it's better to not tell them what we think it's going to cost, let them come up with an inaccurate budget for it. But to be fair, we're happy to provide that. We've got great data on it and can surely provide that to council if you would like.
And then, not arguing against your idea of a subcommittee, but are we going to identify a project manager on the city side so that day-to-day stuff can keep moving forward and not wait for you guys to meet as a committee?
Yeah, I mean, I think we got to get to it. I think that's an important step, but I think you need a design first, right? And that once we have a design, who's actually going to manage the project, whether that's put on a construction manager or we're going to have an internal staff person responsible for that. I think that's a step. And maybe I'm wrong, but I view that as a future discussion, future step.
I mean, I think according to that, I mean, there's still several steps before we get to a design though, right? So I'd rather have someone identified that's going to lead that charge because, I mean, everyone you mentioned has day-to-day responsibilities, so.
Yeah. I mean, there's, for that role, there's two candidates as I see them. Maybe you see something else. It's either myself or it's Dwayne, who's lived in that construction world and I haven't had that discussion with Dwayne, and again, he's really new in his role, but I think there's viable options internally.
I do think you pointed out at council level something you should be aware of. This will be an added burden to your team internally. We can't take, I'm making this up, we can't take a DPW director and say, you start making all the decisions for police, fire, and city admin, right? This will surely be a process that requires extra effort and time, or time out of their regular routines to deliver. There's no way around that. Depending, doesn't matter who you appoint, hire, etc. This will require extra effort from them to make a building project of this significance successful. So you're bringing up a great point. But I'd also counterpoint is don't think you can hire or find somebody to make that go away, because they will need to be critically involved on a weekly basis to make sure this is successful.
And again, I think if the council presses go on this, or we move forward in a aggressive or mild aggressive or even conservative timeline, we've talked internally, I've talked to some of you, that we'll have to make some adjustments in terms of what our priorities are. But if this is a priority of the council, then I think we're going to put all chips in and put it to the front burner, because I think everyone sees the importance, the value, and the need, at least internally, the need for the project.
Alder Reed?
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I would definitely love for council to receive a finalized report. That would be excellent. I'm assuming Amundson's probably going to wind up being the point person by default. Sorry, Matt. And of course, I'm leaning towards the conservative route. I've been wanting a project of the sort to happen for years and years. And I really just want to make sure we do everything right and coming up with a fantastic design that works for everyone to the fullest, and that all financials are fully in order. I just don't want to race and make mistakes.
Okay, Alder Meyer?
I guess I'm in the opinion of, I think we can still do all the financials properly if we put every egg into the basket. Hearing that, like, day-to-day decisions on what the police and fire department are going to end up with, I think we use Dwayne as a advocate or a liaison, but I think we need to have Matt be the project manager on this for the time being until we can hire somebody. I'm in the mindset that we push forward in parallel. We go for design from both companies, and then I would like to see the conservative or the non-conservative timeline. I disagree. I think if we wanted to see this, and I agree, we should have seen this a long time ago, but the city of Columbus kicks the can around. Let's push to get it done. At the end of the day, if we want to see it through, we got to push to get it done. My other question, the last one, is do we need to put opinions into what we want to see in the design from these two companies? Because there's things on the proof that was presented in this tonight that I am totally against being in that area, which would be the burn tower in a residential community. So I think we need to look at other possible locations for that. I'm not opposed to putting one in somewhere. This is not the spot for it.
Yeah, I guess I would go back to saying this is definitely not a final space program or final plan. And council will have a great deal of input into that. In a way, I'd like to stay a little bit 30,000 feet, I think. Do you agree with moving forward? Do you agree with the construction management approach? Do you agree with proceeding with hiring a design professional? Those are probably the three biggest picture decisions to make. Fully agree with you. Is a tower needed or not? That was intentionally done to test fit a site in case that was wanted or needed. If it's not, we just have a better site. So I guess I would suggest, if council's okay with it, don't make the go no-go decision based on if there's a tower or not today. that's a decision down the road. If you as a council agree that we should proceed with hiring a design professional, getting a construction manager on board, and bringing a couple of schedule options back to you, those feel, and again, Matt, jump in, I think those are the three most important discussions tonight.
The question I'm going to ask you, Matt, is as you prepare a design services proposal, you or any other firm is going to look at that feasibility study and essentially base your proposal off of, what that preliminary space needs is saying, right? And you're going to put an hours chart together in that, your planner one is going to spend this amount of hours and this is their rate. And, each team member that you have, your GIS, your analyst, whatever your program looks like for your staff, you're going to put an hours chart together, what their rate of pay is, and that's going to come up with your fee for services based. And so I guess what I'm saying is how you put it together and how another firm puts their proposal together are going to be very similar. And what the council should be focused on when they get those proposals ultimately is the qualifications of the people doing the work, the team. Has the team done this work in other places? Have they had success? Have they built buildings like we want to see a building look in Columbus? And then at the end of the day, you look at those qualifications and you look at their fee for service and you do a cost benefit analysis on the two and you select a design firm.
Yeah, and that will be fair, we typically put a percentage of the cost of construction on it that we then fix. So because we haven't brought what is the construction quality of the building? Is it a metal building? Is it a precast concrete building? Is it a masonry building? You as a council haven't seen the aesthetic quality of the building. Is it brick? Is it siding, et cetera? That's not for tonight. So we typically would tell you, we put a percentage of the construction cost as our fee for architectural and engineering services. And then we fix that fee once council has agreed. So council can move the budget up, council can move the budget down, and our fee adjusts because it's a percentage up and down accordingly. We aren't making those decisions. You are, as a city and as a council. So we eventually fix the fee and we move on. And we've got a great track record with public safety buildings, knowing what it takes us in terms of hours. And our percentage, the reality is we may win, we may lose, but you're gonna know exactly what our fee is on a percentage basis until you commit to a final cost, and then we'll fix our fee. And nothing changes.
Alder Roki?
Yeah, I think we do need to move forward. I think we do need to look at hiring design professionals and construction management. And I also agree with Alder Meyer that we need to look at the aggressive route here. We've been looking at this and talking about this for a long time already. We know what we need. And I think a protracted timeline is only going to give us more time to argue about things that a decision should be being made and we should be moving forward.
Okay. Alder Rosted.
I guess a couple questions. Why would we defer away from Bray when we hired them for the feasibility study? If they can do it all, if they can do everything, why wouldn't we just stay with it? Accelerate I get it. I understand you can have a bidding and we might get a better price, but the way some council members are talking, they want a very accelerated timeline. Is it an option just to take Bray and say, give us a proposal and be done with it? Is one question.
To answer that question, Ryan, while you're formulating the next one, absolutely, that can be the direction. I just thought that the council may want to have more than one proposal, and so that's why I'd proposed getting two.
Okay, perfect, thank you. And then secondly, again, we hired Bray to take their advice, and if Matt's advice is to not get the final report, to release a estimated cost, I don't think we should. Because like he said, let them, we can have it in a closed session meeting maybe, that we see it, but we shouldn't release it because we have to be honest with ourselves. People that are in this world are going to go and look at council packets and read minutes and go, oh, Bray says 60,000. Well, I could build it for way under or way higher. We should hide that or keep that knowledge to the council and behind closed doors and in closed session until we're ready to release it, is my opinion. And then my other question is, PD is just as important as fire, but PD don't have access to Park Ave. I get it, they're smaller cars, they're more maneuverable, but is it a DOT restriction that fire is only allowed to come out, or is it the size of the trucks? Or what was based on
I can
that?
jump in on that, and I would first say your first question, obviously I'm going to endorse your. That's an obvious answer, right? I would say that the most important question is, PD typically has squads on patrol, so they're out on the streets already, so it's less critical that they get from garage to public roadway as quickly. So it's very common that we have a slightly less efficient access point for PD because the majority of the responses that they're making to calls are coming from squads on the road already, not squads in the garage.
Okay. So the biggest thing on this access to 73 issue is, and this is a design component, right? And again, we want to be a good partner with the DOT.
Mm-hmm.
You'll note they transferred jurisdictional control of a majority of this road to the city. And their objectionable review that is plat related. There will not be a plat generated as part of this public safety building. So essentially this body is going to control access onto 73, but we want to be a good partner with the DOT. We want to work with the DOT, and we want to put a plan together for this quadrant in terms of future road access, and knowing that we need their approval on some of that in the future. We want them to be a viable or an engaged participant in this process as well. So.
And then a question, the cart might be ahead of the horse. I know the rural contract is up in 26. We have to renew for 27. If this timeline extends into that period, is there thought, and I understand it's going to be a city-owned building, correct?
Yep.
Hopefully 100%. But is there anything that we need to worry about the rural side input, or anything in the contract down the road? I don't want to get to that hiccup point.
Correct.
When it
Correct.
comes and they're like, well, we don't want to pay for any of it, or hopefully we're not coming after them for money, but
Those are, I think those are important decision pieces, right? In terms of, we have to have that in mind as we go through this process. And I can't answer those questions now. There's been some very, very brief preliminary discussion about what a fire district might look like and who might be interested. And I'm not saying that's the right thing, the wrong thing. We've got further work to do on that. And we may be in a situation where if priority number one is the public safety building, the kind of discussion about a fire district might have to take a back seat, because there's only so much we can do, right? But long term, how does a fire district, is that a plus, a minus? How do people look at that? And when I say how do people look at that, how does the city view that? How do our rural partners view that? How do other neighbors who might want to be part of a district look at that? And I think one of the greatest benefits of looking at that, and I don't want to get too off topic here, I probably already am, is shared vehicle, right? If we can buy one ladder truck and not three, because we partnered with other organizations, that's a win for the taxpayers long term, right? And but we've got to find a vehicle, or a vehicle's a wrong word, but a format that makes sense under.
I just don't want us, meaning the government body, to create a hurdle in this process that we can't jump over. Because that, I believe, like you're on the right track. The district will create a hurdle that could slow this process way down.
Yep.
I just don't need, we don't need that to happen.
I think building is one, and fire district is future discussion number 2.
You guys, yeah, thank you.
Alder Finkler.
I just want to say I agree with a construction manager and I agree with aggressive schedule. I think if we're gonna get the design proposals, the first council meeting in September, that's, a handful of weeks. I'm okay still getting 2 proposals there, just so we have a little competitive, sorry, Matt. But I do want a construction manager and an aggressive schedule. And also, if there is going to be any estimates on what it could cost us, I would also, as Alder Rostad said, like to keep that in closed session for competitive bargaining reasons. And I think that was all.
Okay, Alder Meyer.
Last time I'm talking on this, I promise. On the fire district thing, perfectly honest, I don't want to ask them for a penny. Secondary, I'm okay with just going with Bray. I don't have an issue if we go either way. I know I said earlier, but what's going to be the fastest route for us as a city? If that's going strictly Bray, I'm totally supportive of that. So echo Alder Rostad on keeping the things in closed session. So my last question for Matt is, when you say design firm, is that having a firm ready to go to start design September 1 or the first meeting in September?
I think along with their proposal could be a contract for services that, Paul's reviewed in advance of the meeting and is ready to be signed the next day.
Okay.
Per council approval.
And then we would go into actually designing a building. All right, then that makes me even more towards, let's single-handed this and let's go with Bray. They've already done all this work. They've already done the majority of it, and I'm okay with that.
Alder Reed.
Oh, thank you. I feel it's a matter of our due diligence to get a second proposal. I'm assuming we will likely go with Bray. They've done a great job so far, but I don't feel okay not getting a competitive bid.
Alder Rostad.
I'm going to kind of contradict myself here, but just because I'm curious, what should we expect for a price on this next step? Are we talking 10s, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s? I mean,
Matt, if you've heard the question and can respond, I know you're trying to travel. The question is what does this cost look like?
I think at this point, the cost is gonna be based on, so brief, we break our services, once we're hired to design a building, into 5 phases. The first one is called schematic design. And 15% of the cost of our overall services, I'll be upfront, it's gonna be $100,000 or more to go through this next step. So I'm not trying to scare, but that's the reason. We're talking about a very significant expenditure for a new public safety building, and that will require many, many hours of time from not just architects, but engineers and others to make sure that we can vet the site and the programs correctly. So it's not a small commitment. And so I appreciate many of you saying, let's go, let's move forward with Ray. Obviously, I appreciate that. I also understand and completely respect the desire for keep it other, please support that approach if the council wants to.
then I guess I will side with Alder Finkler, and I'll wait till the first week in September.
Me as well.
So our direction is that we.
I'll repeat and you guys can tell me if you agree. If that
Yes,
works.
yeah, that would be.
You want to see 2 proposals at the first meeting in September.
Yeah.
you want to move forward with a construction manager format, and you'd like to see a non-conservative timeline as soon as it can be available.
And you have committee authority?
Well,
Or do you not want that anymore?
I believe I can put a committee together. I don't know that council,
You
like,
don't need a council.
if council authorizes a committee, then that's publicly agended and has to go through all those steps, whereas this can be a little more nimble and it's an internal committee that essentially is reporting to this body. So,
Okay.
And I'm fine with that. Good? Everybody good with this?
Let's do this.
All right.
no,
No.
you've provided direction, as
No.
long as everyone's in agreement. Thank you, Matt. Safe travels.
Thank you, council, appreciate it. Have a good night.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, everybody. Next on the agenda is the committee minutes for file. Those would be Cable Commission of January 27th, 25, and February 24th of 25, Hillside Cemetery of March 24th, 25, April 14th of 2025, and HLPC of February 26th, 25, April 30th of 25, and May 28th of 25, and Library of June 17th of 25, and Recreation of June 9th of 2025. Those are the committee minutes for file. And then department reports for file is the Treasurer's Report of June of 2025. And then next would be to approve tonight's consent agenda, and that is the council and staff workshop minutes of June 24th, 2025, committee of the whole and common council minutes of July 1st, 2025, and July 15th of 2025. Also, approval of temporary alcohol beverage license for South Central Library System Foundation for their annual Cornerstone Awards, which is going to be held at the Fireman's Pavilion on October 23rd of 2025.
Alder Rolke will move to approve tonight's consent agenda.
Second.
Okay, motion by Alder Rolke, second by Alder Meyer to approve. Any discussion? Alder Rusted?
Yeah. So under department reports, the treasurer's report, I just went back and looked. That's not in July. I don't believe it's in the month before. Is that just a quarterly that comes in, that we get it?
These have typically been during the committee of the whole meeting.
This is a report that's provided every month at the committee of the whole level.
We just moved it over here.
I've suggested that we move them to council because there are times where the committee of the whole will not meet if everything is coming from a committee.
Perfect.
And so putting them on council makes sense. I'll talk to Paul if we need to make an ordinance change there, but I wanted these to be able to continue to be reported consistently.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other? Okay, then all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, consent agenda approved. On to ordinances and first reading of, let me get back where I need to be up ahead. Shoot. Okay, historically, the zoning administrator has been appointed by city council, and currently there is not a position of deputy zoning administrator. This ordinance change moves personnel decision to the city administrator. Furthermore, the creation of the deputy zoning administrator allows for greater capacity to issue permits and provide enforcement. In addition, it provides the capacity for zoning matters to be staffed if there would be a vacancy on the zoning administrator or that the zoning administrator is disabled for a period of time. This approach is very common in many communities, and the Plan Commission has recommended approval. So what I would first then look is for a motion to suspend the rules.
I'll move to suspend the rules.
Second?
Okay, motion by Alder Finkler, second by Alder Rusted. Any discussion on this? Okay, all in favor of suspending the rules?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Then I would look for a motion to waive the readings.
Move to waive the readings?
Second?
Okay, motion by Alder Finkler, second by Alder Rossed to waive the readings. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Then next would be to adopt ordinance 807-25, an ordinance to repeal and recreate section 11447 of the City Code of Ordinances concerning appointment of the zoning administrator.
I'll move to approve ordinance 807-25.
I'll second.
Okay, motion by Alder Meyer, second by Alder Rolke. Any further discussion on that? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Ordinance passed. Thank you. And then on to new business. And let me get caught up on here. And that would be to consider and take action regarding the zoning map amendment ordinance 2025-3. And that's an ordinance to amend the zoning map of the City Code of Ordinances regarding B2, going from B2 to B3 for 105 Dick Street. And this has been to the Plan Commission, and it is also recommended by the Plan Commission. This also, there will be a shared parking agreement and council approval for two businesses to share one driveway is recommended by the Plan Commission. So the condition of making the motion would be that the conditions that are put forth with what is recommended, that the conditions be met. So
I'll move to approve the zoning map amendment with conditions as stated in the memo.
Second.
okay, motion by
Suspend
Alder.
the rules.
Okay, motion by Alder Finkler, second by Alder Rossed. Any further discussion on this? Alder Rossed?
I guess I'm just throwing a little back history. What brought this to the planning commission? What happened between the two owners, or
Mike, are you available to answer that question?
It's the same owner, and she just wants to split into two different parcels because in the future, if she wants to sell one parcel, she can. But it's the same owner, it's not two different owners right
Okay.
now.
I'm also catching, and Mike, correct me if I'm wrong, that this should have been listed under ordinances and may need you guys to suspend the rules and waive the readings to pass the ordinance, and I apologize that it wasn't put on the agenda correctly.
Yeah, that may need to do that. The property owner has two buildings on the property with two separate businesses, and she would like to sell one of the buildings, that's the Subway building. And this development was done many years ago, and so to sell off one of the buildings, zoning map amendment was needed to be able to split the parcels in two. So it's really just generated from an opportunity for the property owner to sell one of the buildings. Otherwise, she would be left with having to sell both of the buildings.
And if, Mike, if I'm correct, that part of the conditions is that they have to provide evidence of a shared parking lot easement that's recorded at the Columbia County, and then also
Shared a single driveway for the businesses.
right.
And the shared parking, and I think maybe it was a third condition, I'm not remembering without it in front of me, but those were conditions to ensure that the property would continue to function from an access perspective and a parking perspective.
Correct.
As it has for a couple of decades.
Correct, and we're making the motion based on that, with you giving approval provided that they provide all the information that they need to provide.
Right. So the rezone would actually not actually go into effect until they provide the city those easements.
Sure. Okay.
Do we-
Well, that being.
Do I need
okay.
to amend to waive the readings? Okay, I'll amend my motion to kind of.
Suspend the rules first.
Oh, yes, suspend the rules, to take a step back and suspend the rules.
Second?
Okay, motion by Alder Finkler, second by Alder Rosted. Discussion on this? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, then next it would need a motion to waive the readings.
So moved.
Second?
Okay, motion by Alder Rolke, second by, who got the second? Alder Rosted. Any discussion on this? Okay. Then all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, and then next would be to approve the ordinance, the zoning map amendment ordinance 2025-3.
Move to, go ahead, Marcus.
Move to approve the zoning map amendment ordinance 2025-3
Second.
with the conditions stated earlier.
All right, thanks. Okay.
Second
motion-
again.
Okay. Motion by Alder Meyer, second by Alder Rosted. Any further discussion on this? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. All right, thank you. Then the next would be to consider and take action regarding approval of a certified survey map for 105 Dick Street. And that also, yeah,
Move to approve the certified survey map for 105 Dick Street with conditions as mentioned in the memo.
Second.
okay, motion by Alder Finkler, second by Alder Rolke.
Yeah, is that good, or should I do the review letter? Okay, we're good.
Okay, any further discussion on this? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you. And then next would be to consider and take action regarding the Business Retention and Expansion Program. And this was brought forward by the CDA from their July 21st, 2025 meeting. So who would get this?
I'll speak to this. I know Mike's worked hard on developing the business retention expansion program. It's a critical part of our economic development strategy, and I strongly encourage the council to approve as drafted.
I'll move to approve the business retention and expansion program as drafted.
Second.
Okay, motion by Alder Wilkie, second by Alder Meyer. Any further discussion on this? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you. Let's see. Then we are on to item number 10, which is to consider and take action on the memorandum of understanding agreement with Columbus School District for the construction of a shed on city property.
I will move to approve the memorandum of understanding agreement with Columbus School District with the amendment of 30 days for the termination notice instead of 90.
Second.
Okay, motion by Alder Meyer, second by Alder Rosted. Any further discussion on this item? Alder Reed?
Oh, thank you. I am in support. I would just like to recommend ground anchors of some type.
I think that's a fair assessment, but otherwise that thing is, I mean, it's not just the wind blowing it away. There's going to be somebody. Yeah.
But I mean, at the end of the day, I think that's the school district's decision on how they want to secure their property, and
Well-
we're providing them a location, and ultimately it's their. I can encourage them, but at the end of the day, I think it's their decision.
Right, right. Well,
Agreed, and in the thing, it states that they're liable for anything that happens to,
True.
from, et cetera, with their insurance. So I don't think we need to address that.
okay, any other further discussion?
I guess I would just say, though, I agree with Marcus. I also agree with Trina on the concern, but then you get into the legality. If you adhere it to our fence, then we go down that tunnel. So I agree. They're going to assume all responsibilities, so let them have it.
Any other? Okay, then all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, thank you. Then next would be to consider and take action on the claims in the amount of $446,618.56.
I'll move to pay the claims in the amount of $446,618.56.
Second.
Okay, motion by Alder Rosted, second by Alder Meyer. Any discussion on this? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Rostad.
Aye.
Lawson.
Aye.
Reed.
Aye.
Finkler.
Aye.
Relke.
Aye.
Meyer.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
Okay, and reports, Chief Weiner, you can go right there. It's not on yet. You may have to stand. Okay, David's doing something.
There we
Yeah,
go.
It's on.
There we go. Oh, there's 2 red lights on, but hopefully it's working. Do you need to officially defer to me since I'm not on the agenda, or?
I think the mayor invited you to speak.
Okay, that's great. I'm just going to talk very quickly about, I talked to Matt before the meeting about being able to speak. Just 2 quick follow-ups about National Night Out from last night. First and foremost, I had David put out a post today about an unfortunate situation that happened last night at National Night Out. Shortly into the event, I discovered that one of the vendors was charging people for their food, and our contract with them was we usually pay a significant amount of money to them for unlimited for the entire event. We've done that the last 3 years. I made contact with them. Employees were sent. Our communications were with the owners, and it was not shared. So they immediately stopped charging people, and I had a conversation with the owner today. They are going to not only refund the fee we paid for them to be here, they're also going to be able to charge back or credit people who paid with debit or credit cards. The unfortunate part is there were a chunk of people that paid with cash that we have no way to identify or confirm who did. But they're also going to send us that amount of money back as well. My plan is to roll that into next year's event. I plan to invite them back. It was just a poor communication. They accepted all responsibility and are a stand-up and reputable business. So there's no hard feelings there. They took the high road. And again, I plan to invite them back next year. But I've always bragged about this event as being nothing, no one's going to be asked to purchase anything. It's free. And then when I heard that, my heart just sank. So we got to the bottom of it, and I think they made the best resolution to it possible under the circumstances. So we're very thankful for that. And then I just want to talk in general about the event. It was outstanding last night. I think there were more people there than there were last year. We did spread the area out a little more into the Carnival Midway area, so it might not have looked like there were more people than last year because they were more scattered, but I would say that we did. We went through over 900 pieces of meat between brats, burgers, and hot dogs. If that's a sign of how many people were there, it was just really a good event. We had some brats left, not a whole lot, but we did have some brats left. And I just want to give a couple of thank yous. I can't read my own notes here. First and foremost to the business community here, because this event would not be possible without them. They donate every year, they come through every year, and we're able every year to roll some leftover money into the following years. So we're in a very good position to continue this to be a free event, and they just really, really stepped up. A couple of thank yous and then I'm done. First and foremost to the Marine Corps detachment organization that did the grilling for the event. Very willing to do that when I reached out to them. It's the second or third year we've done that. They showed up at 10:30 yesterday morning. and they were grilling until just about the event was over. So a group of volunteers led by Jeff Krako was my primary point of contact, and several others were here all day. We put the food in the Nescos with beef broth and kept it warm and all that, but it really helped to get more efficient how we serve people, and the line actually stayed fairly short, so things moved very, very fast. Next, I would like to thank the Cornerstone Club of Elba. They worked and served all the food for us. This is the second, if not the third year in a row at least, that they've worked inside and served the food for us so we can be out doing other things and managing events. They're a great organization and very helpful. DPW also, they put in a lot of muscle yesterday to get the park clean, to get stuff set up, the tables, the chairs, all that. And Nick and I talked many times yesterday, and when we needed to change something, it was done like that. So DPW did an outstanding job. And thanking Lifestar and Fire and Utilities, as well as DPW who displayed equipment. I think it was a really, really good time. Library was there also. They ran out of their stuff very early on. They were such in attendance. But the bounce houses were the hits. The caricature artist was a hit. The face painter was a hit. If you were there and looked across the midway where we had those, that's where like the whole congestion of people were. So we actually had to nicely ask people to kind of move along about 8:15 last night, because the people for the bounce houses stayed the entire time and were sitting there waiting to take it down, and they took it down in the dark and loaded it on a trailer. So overall, a great event. Thank the community for coming, and we're already talking about what we're going to do for next year. So thank you.
Thank you.
I just want to share my appreciation to everyone involved in last night. It's great to see the community come out, but I want to thank, we had a ton of city staff in the park, and no one batted an eye, or at least no one complained to me. I think everyone enjoyed being there, and knowing a lot of us were also going to be here for a long night tonight. And I think it speaks volumes, and I can't say enough about the event and just how everybody comes together to make it happen. And kudos to Dennis for his work with the business community, and just really great to see our whole law enforcement team down there, as well as fire. And I was shocked. My son's, my 9-year-old's takeaway, I asked him what his favorite thing was, and I thought I was going to get an answer, and I got a completely different answer. His favorite thing was the street sweeper. So I don't know if that's if we're looking at a career in the public works world or not, but he loved the street sweeper being there. So outside of that, I got an update from the DOT today. They will be doing the final lift of asphalt next Tuesday and Wednesday, with pavement markings Thursday and Friday, signage being taken care of the following week, and the Ludington Street project should be wrapped up. Of course, that's all weather pending, but that is their current schedule. So,
All right, thanks. Yep. Well, unfortunately, I was not able to attend last night because I was under the weather. But I would like to extend my gratitude and admiration to our police and fire staff for the wonderful job that they've done providing safety to our community. So, and my thanks to Council President Finkler for running the past council meeting in my absence. I did watch it and was really surprised that somebody could actually be faster at adjourning. So. And then also my thanks to those who attended the informational meeting regarding the potential Tower Drive development. So with that, I would look for a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
I beat you.
I think I got one letter.
It was close. It was, but Molly, no.
Amy can have it.
Oh,
It's fine.
oh my gosh.
Well, I still need a second. So.
Second.
Okay. Motion by Alder Rolke, second by Alder Finkler to adjourn. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We stand adjourned.